Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're learning more about how much money Smith County has spent fighting lawsuits filed by the Phillips family. Litigation stemming from the arrest of County Clerk Karen Phillips and her son Derek. Cases in which both were convicted by a jury, impacting their lawsuits filed against the county. In Smith County Commissioner's Court today, an update on lawsuits and claims filed against the county by County Clerk Karen Phillips, her sons Derek and Lance, and family friend Cody Voss.
Okay, right now you are being placed, you are detained.
The litigation centers around the actions of deputies during this traffic stop last year in which Voss was pulled over for a defective taillight in front of the Phillips home. Derek Phillips confronted the deputies and later ran inside his parents' house. In comments to the court, Phillips blamed his legal trouble on what he claims is a political hit job against his father, Commissioner Terry Phillips.
I don't say this to make anyone believe that I'm special, but both of my parents are employees of Smith County, and I too am an ex-employee as well. I was a Smith County deputy on patrol, a canine handler, and if this can happen to my family, then it can 100% happen to you.
In March, a jury found Derek Phillips guilty of interfering with public duties and resisting arrest. That conviction has resulted in Derek's suit against the county being dismissed by a federal court. The same outcome now expected for the suit filed by his mom, who was convicted earlier this month.
It was an initial claim of $10 million against the county, and based on the guilty finding by the jury, we do not anticipate this matter being moved forward any further in the federal courts.
When it comes to Voss, while he pled no contest to the defective taillight, last week a charge of failure to identify was dropped.
Mr. Voss remains pending at this point. He did offer to settle this claim for $4 million, and it's up to the court to make a determination as to how to proceed with that.
The court later discussed the possibility of settling.
Yep, me personally, I'm not interested in settling at all on any of these. Do y'all have any statements to make?
I'm absolutely against making any settlement in any of these cases.
I have zero interest.
I'm in agreement with the court.
Also discussed the cost to the county when it comes to dealing with all of this, with associated costs exceeding $200,000 according to Wilson.
I have the right to speak!
Plus $50,000 already paid for another claim from Lance Phillips, who has been forcibly removed from Commissioner's Court multiple times. Wilson says the deductible for a new Lance Phillips claim is expected to cost the county another $50,000.
The only other comment I'll make is that money could have been certainly used in much better places, mental health. It's unfortunate.
And you may have noticed Commissioner Terry Phillips was not at today's meeting. A county spokesperson said that was due to personal reasons. We should also note all of these cases are being appealed by the Phillips family.